Sustainable Development Goals. The world is worried about them. We, iGens, are worried about them. Maybe even a little bit more worried. After all, we are the ones who are going to live through this. iGens, or better known as Generation Z, are branded by the adult world as self-obsessed, lonely, and an overall unreliable lot. However, we are more than that. The Sustainable Development Goals was introduced in September of 2015, when I was 8. It has been 4.5 years since then, and I've been watching with worry. Just 2 weeks back, I read a progress report by the UN, and after reading that, I realized it's time that I get up and speak. So, here I go, 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 go. Hey everyone, I'm Avanti, I'm 13 years old, and I'm the pre-teen technology specialist at Workshop for Me. Workshop for Me is a non-profit organization through which we teach children aged 6 to 16 how to become the problem solvers of the future through programming and other technological skills. The SDGs are organized into 17 goals, 169 targets, and 230 indicators. Having gone through them, what struck me is how there can only be one set of targets and indicators for 193 countries, all on different levels of economic growth. It's like giving the same classwork to 193 students with different levels of talent. Those who are ahead will stay ahead, and those who are the weakest will be made to work the hardest. But in the real world, when our goal is to keep the temperature from rising above the 2-degree increase, we all have to do the hard work. I'd like to postulate a theorem. To me, equal is not equal when it is made equal for all. Another thing which the SDGs need to work on is identifying the root cause. In a lot of the goals, I see that they are addressing the symptoms instead of identifying the inherent reason. This is a no-no from an iGens perspective. Now let's take a look at some of the goals one by one and see how an iGen would implement them. Goal number 1, no poverty. The SDGs target here is to end poverty completely by 2030. But one thing which the SDGs need to account for is they're also looking at the symptoms. They're saying that someone should not earn less than $1.25 per day. As an iGen, I see that the most violent regions of the world are also the poorest. So the SDGs should set targets on reducing violence in these regions. Goal number 2, zero hunger. Currently, the target to eliminate hunger is producing more food. We all know that producing more food means more stress on our Earth, use of chemicals, higher water consumption, and loss of productive time of people. We have to save all of these. If we look around, on average, out of all of the food produced, 30% goes to waste. Food saving should be the key to fight zero hunger, not growing crops. Also, restaurants, hotels, and bakeries throw away perfectly good food at their closing hours. A target should be set so this could be reduced, and no more than 2% of prepared food should go waste. Goal number 3, good health and well-being. We iGens understand the value of good health and how to get there the right way. While we know that running half a marathon is good for our health, we also know that it will not take away the chemicals which we eat or consume. Sadly, because of global meat production, a lot of harmful chemicals are entering our bodies. On the name of well-being, I especially feel sad for sports people who participate in the Olympics, like gymnasts, sprint runners, and swimmers. Now, they're being pushed beyond human capabilities to beat world record timings. Because of this mental pain and trauma, they are trying to move away from sports and get into esports, which are fair, and they realize that it does not come with pain or mental trauma. The SDGs should work and partner up with the Olympic Committee to take a step back and make sports more enjoyable and fun to everybody. So one day, so many more people can participate in the Olympics. Goal number 4, quality education. Let's pause for a second and think. Where has our education system brought us today? Today, all over the world, we see so much violence, hatred, distrust, and religious discriminations. Most of those involved have undergone a formal education system. We must admit that there is something fundamentally flawed with our system. It must be planting the seeds of differences. The education system promotes individualism and for individual students to shine and leave the rest of the class behind. This generates the thinking of separation and thinking that the student must keep the knowledge with themselves so they can score higher than their friends and peers and eventually go more ahead of them. But this mindset is not correct for today's time. I was first introduced to the power of teamwork when I was 8. I was at a hackathon where my brother was participating. They were all small groups and teams. They were given 3 words, and they had to develop an app which would make a difference in the world. Since they were only given 24 hours, I thought that most of them wouldn't get so far. By the next day, I was shocked with surprise. They had gotten so far and made a difference in the world. That got me thinking, why don't we have challenge-based learning exams in our schools? Why is it based on how much an individual knows or remembers? It shouldn't be based on how much one knows or remembers, but it should be based on their levels of talent. I also got inspired by this idea of making groups. So we at Workshop for Me use group making and group examinations. We do not ever evaluate a student individually. We believe that this causes separation. Goal number 5, gender equality. The SDG's target to solving gender equality is through laws, asking offices to hire women in senior positions. But this causes issues with trust and the woman not feeling respected enough. We have to find a way to solve this and look at this in the root cause. The cause lies in global sporting events. Olympic or international teams are gathered by women and men. We all know that biologically men and women have a different body structure, but if we rank them on their skill instead of on their gender, it would be more fair. Time and time again, we see so much humiliation and discrimination for those who claim that they're one gender, and they're great players. This must stop. Let's take the example of my dad. Hi, Dad. If my dad played against Serena Williams, the Olympic Committee would call it unfair. But unfair against who? I would say it would be unfair against my dad. Sorry, Dad. Goal number 6, clean water and sanitation. The SDGs do not have anything for hygiene under sanitation. They have to also work on this. What's surprising to me is every few years an epidemic breaks. It happened with SARS, Ebola, and now the coronavirus. Then they try to take tough actions and cordon off vast areas of land, sometimes even countries. Billions of dollars are spent and hundreds of lives are lost by this time. As an iGen, I recommend 2 preventive measures. Firstly, to make greetings infection-free. It is known that handshakes and greetings are the primary source of spreading infections. A handshake transfers 124 million microbes from one hand to another. The firmer the shake, the more. Whereas namaste transfers 0 microbes. Secondly, currently airlines are spending money and their time on scanning passengers for arms. But additionally, they should also scan passengers for what viruses they contain. Passengers can get to an aircraft without having a simple check of tuberculosis or any other highly infectious disease. The airlines still need to realize that if someone is carrying a virus with just a few coughs and sneezes and walking around the airport, the disease can spread to up to 200 people on board the aircraft. Goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. Right now, we've been digging 2 types of holes in the earth. One, to take out fossil fuels, and the second, to gather all our waste and bury it up. To an iGen, both are wrong. Humanity has no right to dig up Mother Nature and deposit any type of waste in it, be it nuclear waste or incineration ash or electronics. Now, they're putting in discarded windmill blades. This must stop. The waste should be converted to energy. This will require less coal and less oil. Goal number 10, reduced inequalities. Knowledge, to me, is the greatest factor in reducing inequalities, not merely the distribution of wealth. Knowledge is like the root. Money is the symptom. Distributing money is like treating the symptom. Addressing through knowledge is like looking at the root cause. The SDGs should reflect this thinking in their targets. Goal number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Rainwater. Every time I think of rainwater, I always feel that there's a more effective way of collecting it. Currently, our system is very expensive. We're letting the rainwater touch the ground, and then we have to use a very expensive filter. I have a different solution. On every house, if we had kind of an upside-down umbrella, this could be less expensive. The rainwater could all collect, be filtered in a less expensive filter, and given to all the houses below. This would really help with sustainable cities and communities. Water shortage is one of the biggest problems which we have to address. Goal number 12, responsible consumption and production. As an iGen, I'd like to see that whenever a plastic bottle is empty, its label could be taken off or simply replaced so it could be used for something else. Let's take my example. I love those squeezy bottles of lotion, but when they finish, I realize that the label is actually imprinted onto the lotion bottle. This makes me feel very sad and annoyed. There should be a depositing box in every shop so that when a product is finished, the customer can come and quickly deposit the box. To give an incentive for this, the stores could also return some money. Then the box could be used for something else in the store. Continuing with the topic of packaging, did you know that leading tech companies use so many liters of water in just one package, around 50 liters of water? This must stop. As iGens, we think that we have to take small steps. There is no need of tall targets and mountain-pushing efforts. I myself have tried reusing these boxes, but I've realized that the inner fittings of the box are glued in so tightly that they could possibly withstand a war zone. No joke. I request to all of the leading tech companies of the world to step back and try and improve their packaging. Often they do it for customer experience, but they have to realize the customer experience is short-lived and the package is just thrown out as soon as the phone is taken out of the box. We have to work on this. Goal number 13. The target to this goal is to reduce CO2 emissions in any way, basically reduce CO2. Now, how many of you have ever parked in a tight parking spot, opened your car door, and hit the car next to you? This has happened to so many people, including me, and the other car gets a dent or a scratch. Then it needs to be repainted, and repainting it is very harmful for the environment. Paint uses thousands of chemicals, which are really harmful, and we have to stop this. I thought of this, and I thought, I have a solution. I created a company called iGen Solutions, where my brother and I create products to solve common problems. Let's take this example. My brother and I have created a small box, which is kind of made out of foam. It has magnets at the back. All you do is you stick the foam box onto the car, and it's all good. So, if you're ever in a tight parking spot, just unravel your window, stick the foam box in the car next to you, open your door, and it's all good. Then you can take it off of that car and put it on your own to avoid getting more scratches. Goal number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Misinformation and half-truths are the biggest source of distrust and hatred spreading around the world. It has been found time and time again that leading institutions and publications have posted wrong or incomplete news. This must stop. Criticism is welcome, but creating half-truths for the sake of creating criticism is dangerous. It divides societies, nations, and even allies. I request from the UN to set up a mechanism or network so that they could monitor all the wrong or incomplete news, especially when it's national or of international importance. This would really help. This would help solve the wounds of humanity, which are here today. And lastly, goal number 17, partnerships for the goals. At the end of the day, we all have to remember that we are all one. We're all united by our Earth, the world, and the United Nations. And when all these goals are done, we iGens will be free to sing, "All I wanna do is come running home to you." And that defines who we really are. And for us, Earth is home, and shall stay that way. Thank you.